Welcome to the Double A to Z Sports Podcast, where we cover all things sports from stats and prediction, to the ultimate fighting octagon, to hitting a homer with a 3-0 count while being up by 7 or more runs after the 8th inning. We're bringing you a full new dynamic sports talk, a podcast that keeps you up to date with all sporting transactions, beef, drama, and rumors.
Lillard, long range three.
We're your hosts, Two Ashens and Zach Smith.
Well, welcome to the first full Friday-ish episode, I guess. Thursday-ish Friday. This is a Thursday evening we're talking on March 24th, 2022. But there are some pretty big breaking news around the sports world to kind of get into. First, let's go ahead and say we don't have a guest tonight, so there will be no blockbuster trade. So if you're looking forward to the Q&A and all that stuff, it ain't happening tonight. So, firstly, let's talk about not the biggest trade, but another bigger name about 4 years ago, in my opinion. You know, a former Super Bowl contender, the runner-up quarterback, my bad, to a blowing the biggest deficit in the history of the Super Bowl is Matt Ryan leaving the Falcons after being there for what seems like an eternity. And he's now with the Indianapolis Colts, where we all thought Baker Mayfield might end up, but it's kind of apparent that Baker Mayfield might not end up in Indianapolis now at this point with Matt Ryan. Because to me, I feel like Matt Ryan's a little bit better. It's just a little bit better than Baker Mayfield. That's my opinion, but we'll talk about that really quick. How do you guys see Matt Ryan on the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, T.Y. Hilton? Well, not T.Y. Hilton. I don't think he's even there anymore.
I think it's whatchamacallit? Replacing Matt Ryan to the Colts while replacing Carson Wentz. I feel like it's kind of just like a waste move because Phillip Rivers was there. He's like a geezer, and he played. And it was kind of just like, they were decent, but like not great. I still think I think Matt Ryan's better than Phillip Rivers was at the time. But like, you can't keep signing old quarterbacks forever. So, I mean, I think it's fine for now, but I guess we'll just have to see.
I would debate you to say that Phillip Rivers was better than
Matt Ryan is better than Phillip Rivers.
In that time.
I thought so. At that time.
I would debate you on that one. But Ashton, what's your thoughts on Matt Ryan? And
I mean,
his
it's just
I feel like with the Colts.
I feel like it's just a stopgap to get to next year. I think it's a kind of a lateral move for Indianapolis. Carson Wentz went. I think he had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions last year. It was some kind of 28-8 or something like that. I think Matt Ryan's going to give you the same thing. I mean, about give or take. I think Indianapolis' roster is better than Atlanta's roster as a whole. So I don't know that they're any better though.
He has more protection. He definitely has more protection in the pocket, and he has a way better running back. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is really good, and it kind of stinks that he's leaving a young Kyle Pitts.
He's the only bright spot on that roster.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Who knows what's going to happen? Well, Chris Lindstorm too is a right tackle for them. Or a tackle, left tackle, right tackle. You can put him in any position. He's a younger offensive tackle that I feel like is a bright spot on Atlanta as well. But I don't really know how Matt Ryan's going to fit into the scheme because Matt Ryan's not like slowly progressed, but I mean everybody keeps talking about the cliff theory with Tom Brady. This dude to me literally just hit a cliff, and I don't know if it was the offensive scheme.
I think it's the Falcons being bad.
That's what I was about to say. I don't know if it was the Falcons being bad, the offensive scheme that Dan Quinn was running, and then, the transition to their new coach and the whole coaching carousel over the last 2 or 3 years. But, like, Matt Ryan, to me, has just went on a cliff. Everybody talks about the cliff theory, and it looks like Matt Ryan hit it. Do y'all think that, Matt Ryan's going to play better than Carson Wentz did last year? Or do you think – because, like Ashton said, he's going to probably put up the same numbers. Do you think that's comparable, Zach, or do you think he's going to have a better season?
I think if you replace an average quarterback with an average quarterback, it's not like you can't get much better. I don't think Matt Ryan is levels above Carson Wentz as it was, and you lost youth kind of with Carson Wentz. So I mean, like, it's like you said, it's just a gap year kind of until they find a quarterback that they can use.
Well, I think the biggest argument is that the Colts are traditionally now going from, to me, growing up seeing the Peyton Manning Colts where they were a pass first offense, they are now a run first offense with Jonathan Taylor. It seems like, to me, where you think about where Ashton, we can kind of say that Jonathan Taylor is going to be the Chris Johnson of how Chris Johnson was with the Titans, where he ran the ball literally 3 downs, and then Tennessee would either kick it or do whatever they did when Titans had Chris Johnson, former ECU player, by the way. Whoop whoop. But do you see that kind of being Indianapolis's go-to, as they're going to be a run-heavy team, or do you see them, using Matt Ryan and actually letting him throw the ball like Carson Wentz was last year, a little bit here and there?
I think having that running back takes the pressure off of Matt Ryan, so he can more manage instead of having to force stuff to make plays like he did last year. So I think that's going to take some of the pressure off him and let him to kind of relax and just be a game manager. And I know that's cliche, but I think that suits him better now in this point of his career than having to go and throw it, 35 or 40 times a game.
Well, I mean, you also got to remember he's also played with some star caliber running backs. You can argue that Devontae Freeman was a star at one point. He had a breakout season, kind of like Jonathan Taylor did that Super Bowl year, where he had that 80-yard run in the Super Bowl in the first handoff of the game, I felt like, or whatever it was. Devontae Freeman was a good running back for a little bit, but he wasn't a Jonathan Taylor. I'm not trying to compare him to Jonathan Taylor by any means here, but you can argue that he's had some good running backs to take pressure off of him, but no one as star of a caliber as Jonathan Taylor. But moving over to another big trade that's really just took me by surprise, 100% took me by surprise. No clue it was coming. The Chiefs traded away their star wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, in what seems to be a cap space move, not a move to say, hey, we got better players, or we're improving our team, or we're doing creating space for new players to come in. It seems like a cap space move. What do y'all think about the Chiefs offense now? Do you still see them competing in the AFC West, being 1 and 2 like they were supposed to be? Or do you see, obviously Miami, I feel like won the trade, even though they got rid of a plethora of talent for Tyreek Hill. But draft picks and stuff like that. But Miami, who is Miami's quarterback? It's Tua, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going to see how good Tua really is. In my opinion, we'll see how good Tua really is. If he's really an NFL caliber quarterback with a receiver like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, have, by the way, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill have made the fastest duo in the history of wide receivers.
Still got to get it to him.
The NFL. Hey, still got to get it to him. But how do y'all see the Dolphins performing with Tyreek Hill?
I think a wide receiver is very like Tyreek. I don't think his hands are that good. I've watched plenty of games. I think he's quick and he can get by someone, he can catch it. But from what I've seen of him, his hands aren't that impressive. And having someone not Patrick Mahomes not drop it in your breadbasket every time, I guess we'll also see how good Tyreek is. So, but I think the Dolphins are just going to be slightly above average fringe playoff team, but that's only because of Tua. I think if they had literally anybody else but Tua, they'd be fine. And their offensive line isn't that good. So
their defense isn't the greatest. And now who's even their head coach? Who is have they even named a head coach yet? I have no clue if they even have a head coach. So, they got rid of Brian
Flores.
Almost said Brian Duvall.
They got the offensive coordinator from the 49ers. I think.
That's who it is, I think.
That young kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ashton, how do you see the Dolphins doing this year with Tyreek Hill and Tua?
So over the life of his 4-year contract that he just signed, he's making an average salary of $30 million a year. That's 25. Yeah. That's $25 million. That's $25 million against salary cap. That's way too much to pay a wide receiver. That's just way too much. I mean, I don't know. I think the Miami's going to be right around playoff contention, but I mean, it's going to be more mediocrity. That's just too much to pay a wide receiver.
Gotcha. I can agree, unless you know that wide receiver starts with the name Randy and
that's another crazy thing.
Or Jerry or Rice. You know,
for fantasy, Tyreek is officially not a second rounder. I think he might be a second rounder, but like he drops off an edge because Tua, and he has two good running backs now instead of the average ones he had at Chiefs. He has Chase Edmonds, who's pretty good, and Raheem Mostert, who's also, we'll have to see how he is with his knee first, but like he has been pretty good. So that's going to take away.
Well, also like I think the Dolphins now have the best. All right, so this is going to be a hot take. I'm sorry, this is going to be a hot take. I think the Dolphins now have the best wide receiver and tight end combo in the league because Mike Gesicki is nasty.
Devontae Adams and Darren Waller.
No. I'm talking like two receivers and a tight end. I'm talking two receivers and a tight end.
I still think Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams are better, but
no, it's debatable. It's debatable because I mean you could still say Mike Evans and Godwin and Gronkowski.
Yeah.
You know, if Gronk comes back, if Gronk comes back, there's 1, 2, and 3. So now at Miami, you have Jalen Waddle. I wouldn't even put Jalen Waddle at 1, honestly. I would still put Tyreek.
Definitely.
And then Gesicki. You know, Gesicki's a monster. He's that 6'5", Gronk-like tight end that can just go up and get the ball if you throw it in his direction. Which is kind of crazy that, like, you know, Tua is what was his stats last season? Does anybody know what his?
I think his completion percentage was high, but that's because he dumps down a lot.
Yeah, to Gesicki, right?
But that doesn't. Tyreek's not going to thrive in that. We'll have to see. I actually have no idea what to expect because I don't think Tua is that good.
Yeah, new coach. What, third-year quarterback?
Yeah,
like you'll like trying to prove himself to see if
this is the year he has to prove himself. Or he's losing his job.
This is the year he has to prove himself because you know they went out and got you a superstar. And I'm going to put air quotes around that superstar receiver, like in Tyreek Hill. He's being paid like a superstar, but you know Tyreek Hill's only played with a great quarterback. Like you know Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. He's at S tier, one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the league. I would say the best quarterback in the league skills wise. So he's never played with a quarterback, you know, like Tua. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that dynamic works. Any other topics, you know, that y'all want to discuss about the NFL that you guys know about that I'm not aware of? When we move on to our next segment.
Oh, I wanted to hear. This is just a random one off the top of my head. Of who do you think is the fantasy top 5 in the draft this year?
Oh, top 5 fantasy.
Who's going 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5?
1 is going to be Pat Mahomes.
Not dynasty. Not dynasty. Regular.
Not like regular fantasy.
Yes.
Pat Mahomes.
Nah, you're already wrong. that means okay. It's a bad question then. Patrick Mahomes is not going 1 in any draft.
In any fantasy?
I promise 1 million zillion % Patrick Mahomes is not going. Patrick Mahomes is going like 5th round.
I don't know what fantasy league you're playing.
I don't know which one you're playing in.
I've won fantasy like 3 years in a row.
You might have officially the worst league. I've never seen a quarterback go in the first round ever.
I took Tom Brady like for like 10 seasons first round, and I won every year.
That's
what are you
not
talking
good
about?
at all.
Not even no.
Wait, Big Ash, do I not?
Sorry,
am I wrong on this?
I've never taken a quarterback in the first round.
I don't think anyone's ever taken a quarterback in the first round.
All right, fine. I'll drop that. I'll go Jonathan Taylor with my first pick.
Much better.
And then my second pick would be Christian McCaffrey. My third pick would probably be Cooper Kupp, and fourth Derrick Henry, and fifth. It's tough because it's going to be down to Dalvin Cook or Justin Jefferson. That's my 5. How about that?
I still don't have.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
You okay with that? Since I didn't put a single quarterback in that list, are you okay with that?
I was astounded that you said you put a quarterback. But
dude, Patrick Mahomes got like 30 points a game last year. What do you mean?
You can pick up any quarterback in any round and it'd be serviceable.
Oh my lord!
No, I know I'm correct on that. Like it's not even worth an argument. I know I'm correct.
Okay, fine. Ashton, what's your 5?
I mean, yours is pretty close. That's a hard thing because like if it's PPR, you weigh that more on guys catching the ball out of the backfield and receivers in a pass first offense. So, I mean, that's a safe. Those 5 that you said were all. I wouldn't have a problem with any of those. I would definitely. I'm not taking a quarterback in the first round. I'm not taking a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. Now, if I'm in the 3rd round and I've got 2 really good wide receivers, I might take a quarterback in the 3rd round. That's just me though. But yeah, your list.
I took Josh Allen
good.
in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I think I got LeVar Jackson
the only thing
last year.
that I know. Yeah.
I got LeVar Jackson in the 4th last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't draft a quarterback in the 1st round.
It was Christian McCaffrey. They said he might drop below top 5, but that upside is huge still. They said Derrick Henry. I know Jonathan Taylor's going to be 1 no matter what. Derrick Henry might be 2.
I had Derrick Henry last year. That was my 1st round pick. Was Derrick Henry?
Yeah, that was our number 1 pick in my draft last year.
His injury sucked me last year, though, dude. That injury really hurt me last year.
Who was my first pick? Oh, I had the 12th overall pick, and I had Saquon, and he wasn't good.
That's right. No, Saquon had it.
I still won my league somehow, so I pulled it off. So
you still haven't said your top 5. So what's your top 5?
I was getting
Zach?
there. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, I don't know if I'm sold on it yet. I am sold on it, but top 5 is usually running back zone. And then I'd probably take McCaffrey top 5. And I play non-PPR in my league, so we're usually running back heavy. And then Dalvin, probably. No, I don't even know if I'd take Dalvin Cook top 5 now. Najee Harris is big.
I'm not touching McCaffrey anymore.
Yeah.
Not touching him.
I'm not. No.
They said Najee Harris might be top 5.
He's just so injury prone, dude. He's just so injury prone that it's hard to, pick something.
If you waste a first round pick, move on.
Yeah. We'll hold that topic for a later discussion, later in the video. If you want to stick around and stick tuned to Screech Talk, I guess, if you want to add that to your topic list. So we're going to move on to what is happening right now. Currently, actually, is the NCAA. The March Madness tournament still continuing. We are in the Sweet 16. So let's kind of go down the list of the Sweet 16 teams. And I'll say each matchup, and we'll come back and kind of talk about what we think is going to happen. So the game going on right now is Arkansas and Gonzaga. Later tonight is Michigan versus Villanova, Texas Tech and Duke, Houston and Arizona. Those are the games today. And then tomorrow we have St. Peter's, the underdog, and Purdue, and Providence and Kansas, Iowa State, Miami, and UNC and UCLA. So let's start with the game going on right now. Arkansas and Gonzaga. Zach, what are your predictions on the game? Who do you think's winning?
I think Arkansas has a potential to upset, but I think Gonzaga's going to win.
Okay. Who do you see being the difference maker?
Who's the... I forget.
Holmgren?
No.
Oh, from Arkansas?
No, Drew Timme. He's been the veteran leadership. I think whatever he does, I think he leads the team to whatever it is. I think Holmgren is he's like a sidekick, but he's obviously better, but he's a sidekick to Drew Timme to me. I don't know why it's like that, but I think if Drew Timme has a good game, I think they win.
Makes sense. Ashton, same question.
I agree. Gonzaga, to me, they're the favorite. They've just got 1 through 5 is solid. So, I think they're going to – maybe it'll be a tight game in the first half and then they'll cruise. Or they could lose.
Makes sense. I agree.
Either one.
Yeah, or
Hey, who knows? Hey, they either win or lose.
You have 2 options. Either win or lose. There's no in between. There's no ties in the NCAA tournament, unfortunately. How crazy would that be if there was a tie just randomly in the NCAA tournament? Well, just what if? What if they went to 7 overtimes and the refs were just we're done. No, we're done. It's a tie. That's it. Game's ending in a tie. The week.
Yeah, just go to sleep.
Oh man. Well, that's actually a rule that if everybody fouls out, your team doesn't forfeit, you have to play with 4 players. You play with a man down, and then what happens if the other team fouls out? And then I think the rule is that if there's 5 players on the floor, the person that fouls out, the first person that fouled out gets to come back in the game, and then they're the ones that stay in the game for the rest of the game. I think
no. You go to 4. You go to 5-on-4.
Yeah.
Oh,
Alabama,
it's Colin Sexton.
yeah,
So they
Alabama
changed
did
that
that.
rule.
Alabama was 3
Alabama
on
did
5.
that 2 years ago. Yeah, Alabama was 5v3. Yeah.
Oh wow. I forgot. I didn't even know that. I forgot all
Yeah, it
about
was
that.
Colin Sexton.
It tells you how much I know. Then
They
I
almost
guess.
won.
So then we'll go to the game that I think is. Oh, I didn't even say my input. I think Gonzaga is going to win. The reason is that Holmgren being a 7-foot guard is very hard to guard him. So I think he's going to be the like Zach said. They have that veteran presence on the team. Their leader, but I think Holmgren's the guy that's down the stretch. That's going to seal the game. But Michigan and Villanova. I almost said Michigan State. No, Michigan State oust by my Dukies last week. But Michigan Villanova. Ashton, what are your thoughts on that? And who do you have as your favorite in the Juwan Howard versus Jay Wright battle of the fists slapping each other showdown?
I mean, I think this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion. I think Michigan's hitting their stride right now. I mean, I think Michigan's playing like they were at the beginning of the year.
I can agree.
When they were a top, 5 or 6 team. So I think they're going to be dangerous. I don't know that they're going to be. I feel like they'll beat Villanova. I mean, I just think the momentum swung back on their side.
I have the opposite take. I think from the games that I've watched of Michigan, I haven't been sold on Michigan. I don't know what about them.
Damn, you better hope that Juwan Howard doesn't come and slap you.
Yeah, whatever. But Villanova, what I saw from them, I was pretty impressed. I've seen like 3 or 4 games, and I've been pretty impressed. And then the Michigan games, I feel like they have the big guy, Hunter Dickinson, who's like, he's good. And he's like,
dude, Gillespie's nasty.
Yeah, and
Gillespie's nasty.
Other than the big guy on Michigan, it's like they have a bunch of I think okay players. I think if they have a good if they all play together good today, I think they'll win. But I think Villanova's probably going to win tonight.
I agree. I mean, I agree in both of your takes. I personally, I think if it comes down to a very close game, I think Michigan can seal it. If it's a blowout game, I think Villanova will probably take the blowout game. But staying on the Michigan Villanova, who wins in a slapping contest between Jay Wright and Juwan Howard?
Juwan Howard, he's been he's coming off. He was just in one, wasn't he?
yeah, he was just in one, and he came off victorious. Probably got the the coach slapping.
So he's a little bit more warmed up, so I'd probably go Juwan Howard.
he's had one under his belt. He has some experience. I've never seen Jay Wright slap somebody, but I think Juwan Howard has the upper hand in that. Get it? The upper hand because he's taller as well. Ashton, what are your thoughts on that one? If Jay Wright and Juwan Howard got into a slapping contest, who would win that one?
Well, Jay Wright ain't fighting anybody. He's too pretty. He's too pretty. He ain't fighting anybody. So I'll go with Juwan Howard.
Is it reach? Is it why you giving it to Juwan Howard? Is it reach?
No, just because Jay Wright's never raised his hand to anybody. So he has no idea what's going on.
He would accept his demise.
He would accept his demise. If that holy smite came up, I would too.
Howard smite.
Now, listen. If it was Coach K against, Juwan Howard, I got to give it to Coach K in that one. That dude's feisty. Anyway,
K to the graveyard.
Speaking of Coach K, Virginia Tech versus Duke. I'm a little skeptic here. As a Duke fan, I'm not sold on this team. I said all year that they were a Sweet 16 team. And by that, I meant that they are going to make the Sweet 16 and they are going to lose in the Sweet 16. So I'm going to keep riding that train, even though I'm a Duke fan. I don't have faith in our team tonight. I think Texas Tech beats us.
Texas Tech or Virginia Tech? Oh, Virginia Tech's out.
Texas Tech. Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I forgot.
I think Texas Tech ends our run and Coach K is going to retire out of the Sweet 16. Yep.
Because
I don't have any faith in this Duke
Texas
team.
Tech has been going crazy.
They're not there when the big game counts. They lost in the ACC championship to Virginia Tech. They lost to Coach K's last game at Cameron. I have no faith in this team winning out the season for Coach K, even if he was on his deathbed. I don't think this team would pull it out for him. Ashton, what are your thoughts on that?
When they play Michigan State, it's like I feel like a light bulb went off, and it's like, man, with about 5 minutes left, they were down by like 3 or 4, and it's just like that's the best basketball they played all year.
Fought.
So
yeah.
So I just think I'm going on what I saw last. So I think they'll beat Texas Tech. I mean,
You think they'll get Coach K out of the Sweet 16?
Yeah, I think
like
they're
it.
going to. I think if they beat
Okay.
Texas Tech, they might get a little mo on their side and make a run to the Final Four. I don't know that they're good enough to win it, but they can definitely get there.
I agree. I think Texas Tech has just been really hot recently. So Duke has been too,
Dude,
but
that's my problem.
I think it seems to be a recurring theme, and lower seeded
on
teams.
what Duke team comes out.
Lower seeded teams against a big name like Duke, the tenacity is insane. They want to win so bad.
Yeah, it to me it depends on what Duke team comes out. Is it the Duke team from the ACC championship and Coach K's last game at Cameron, or is it the Duke team that just fought from behind like Ashton just said? Is it that Duke team? What Duke team's going to show up? That's the problem with me is I don't know what team's showing up. When in past Duke teams, I can be like, oh, this is a team that's showing up. I know this team. This team, I don't have any faith in this team. I don't. I'm sorry. As a Duke fan, I don't have any faith in this team, and I'm sorry to say that. But Houston, Arizona, I'm going to ride the underdog. I'm going to ride Houston.
I'm all in on
Houston. Houston looks untouchable. They are not a 5 seed. I think Houston should have been a 2 or 3 seed, maybe even a 1 seed. But, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. It could be a extreme opinion from other people. Zach already said he's all in on Houston. Ashton, how do you feel about Houston?
Yeah, I mean, I've got them going to
the
most of my brackets. I've got them going to the Final Four. So I'm all about the Cougs.
So you were sold on them from begin with.
Yeah. Yep.
That makes one of us.
Okay. Well, continuing, I think this is where St. Peter's run also ends against Purdue. I think they're just too big, too long. They have former NBA player's son, as it is, and what's his name? Mark Eaton's son. What's his son's name? Something Eaton, the big guy that's like 7'3" on Purdue. But they also got Jaden Ivey. So I think Purdue pulls out against St. Peter's.
I played against one of the dudes on Purdue in high school.
Who was that?
Ethan Morton. He's a bench guy. He was actually pretty pivotal last game. He was good in high school. I could tell you that much. I had to guard him one time, and he just went ching 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 and laid it in. I was like, yeah, there's no chance I'm guarding that.
Ashton, did you ever play against anybody in high school that you were just like, holy crap?
There was a kid for Rose. He actually played football for Carolina. No, for ECU. And then there was another guy. I can't remember his name, but he was a McDonald's All-American in basketball. And I played him. I didn't get a lot of playing time during the year, but we went in a Greenville Summer League. And I got the pleasure of guarding him for about 2 quarters, and man, he just wore me out. He was taller than me. He was about 6'5", 6'6", and he played point, and I just had nothing for him. He gassed me. So yeah, I need to look his name up real quick. But yeah, that was the best athlete I've ever played against.
So I have a great AAU story about basketball. This isn't my story. This is actually my cousin's story. I'm not going to say my cousin's name because my cousin would get mad if he was watching and his name got dropped around. But my cousin played. Ashton probably knows who I'm talking about when I say this. He played for the Cincinnati Reds he got to AA in the Cincinnati Reds. He played at NC State baseball. Didn't play any college basketball, but he was a college baseball player. And he was playing AAU one year in basketball, and I went to one of his games. And the whole tournament, all you heard about was this little white dude named JJ. Nobody knew who he was. And keep in mind, this is in like 2003, 2004, maybe 5. And he was probably, my cousin was probably 11, 12 at the time. My cousin was already like 6'1", maybe at 12 years old. Like he was just a big dude. And the whole time, everybody kept hearing about JJ. Nobody knew who JJ was. And keep in mind, he's playing on a team out of Greenville. I can't remember what the name of the team was, but he's playing on a team out of Greenville, North Carolina. And we get to this place in Charlotte, and I'm the ball boy, and I'm like rebounding for this team that I'm just like hanging out with them. I'm like 7, 8 years old, and I'm like rebounding. And the whole time, like we keep hearing about this dude named JJ, how he just scored like 60 points in the game before, and nobody knows who JJ is. So we play this team like the next game after winning our first game. And I'm saying but I'm the ball boy. I can say I'm part of the team. I sat on the bench. I was sitting next to the coach. Doing my job as ball boy and handing water out. And the whole time, we're hearing about this guy named JJ. And we go to, play this next game, and everybody's looking at this other team like, could it be him? Could it be him? Could it be him? And nobody knew who it was. And the first tip goes up. They get the ball. Little white dude gets the ball, takes 2 dribbles like in front of half court, and just jacks like a 50-footer and hits nothing but net. And everybody at our side goes, "That's JJ." It was JJ Redick. Yeah. Just so you know, it was JJ Redick.
I could guess that.
And yeah, it was JJ Redick. And I think he put up 60 on this team, and they won the tournament easily. And he put up like 60. That was the first time I've ever seen JJ Redick play, and like 3 years later, he was at Duke. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I know that guy. Like, I didn't know him, but I was like, I saw him play at AAU. Well, I thought that was like super cool that I got to see JJ Redick play in AAU. That was in Charlotte, North Carolina, at one of the big shot tournaments, like one of the very first big shot tournaments that happened at AAU. But continuing in the Carolina region, Carolina plays UCLA tomorrow. Who do y'all have in the UNC UCLA matchup?
UCLA has always had that, like, they're always older. Like, they don't have any, like, one and dones. There's people on the team that I've seen, like, when I was in, like, sophomore year of high school that are still playing in college. I'm like, I don't even know how, because I'm like a junior in college. And it's like, what's his name? Tiger Campbell, Juzang. It's like, they've been there forever, and they're good. And, like, they're
Shaq's son.
they're used to being in the tournament, too. And there's a reason they made it this far, and I think they make it one game further. But UNC's been hot too.
Yeah, UNC. Yeah, UNC's been playing pretty well. RJ Davis, like we just talked about last game when they had the Brady Manick, I think is his name, when he went down, or not went down, but when he got kicked out of the game for arguably, we'll have our hot take segment, and we'll talk about refs here in my hot takes. But I feel like the refs need to dial it back on players, getting ejected from the games, and flagrant ones.
That was crazy, the Illinois one.
See, guys. Here's my thing, Ashton. I would love for you to chime in on this. When there's a flagrant 1 or 2 committed, and you're watching something in slow motion, keep that in mind. Slow motion. How easy is it to look at something in slow motion and determine that it's not a basketball play, but watching it in full speed, where you should be watching it in, how hard is it to determine a flagrant 1 or 2 in slow motion? Candidly speaking, how hard is it?
In slow motion is easy. In game speed, it's impossible.
So why are we going to slow motion to determine if somebody's making a ill will contact or not?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's got to be something egregious
that's my point.
For them to go to replay, in my opinion. But
yeah, I feel like, and I'm going to be a Duke fan here for a second. I'm going to bring up a player that recently played at Duke that is a dirty player. I'll acknowledge that. Is Grayson Allen. Tripping people, throwing people on the ground in midair. Those are dirty plays. What Brady Manick did, wasn't, in my opinion, dirty. So, it's weird to see somebody get a flagrant 2 on to me, was a common foul. My whole life growing up, Michael Jordan, when he played against the Pistons, anytime he drove in, his ass was on the floor. Yeah. And there was hardly any fouls called for Michael Jordan. But now, if you just go in and, you get breathed on, it's a foul. But that's just over the years of changing, and a lot of respect. Hats off to first year coach UNC Hubert Davis. I think he's done a phenomenal job this year. He really controlled the outcome of that game. Yes, he did let it go into overtime. I think that was strategic. I think he strategically brought it to overtime. I
don't think anyone ever does that strategically.
Popovich has.
Not in the NCAA tournament.
Popovich has admitted multiple occasions that he's let the game go into overtime to wear the other team out so they could score 30 and, leave the game.
They could have won by 20. I don't think he let it go.
No, Popovich.
No, not Popovich, but I'm saying in the NCAA tournament, I don't know why you let a number 1 seed come back.
Never know. You never
number 1 seed? It was not
I don't know,
strategic.
Dude, they played the same 5 players for the last 25 minutes of the game.
I don't think it was. I think it was
20. They played the whole second half and they played the whole overtime, so they were completely out of gas. Baylor was gone, and I think Hubert Davis saw that and said, "Hey, they bring it back. They're gonna have enough energy. We'll beat them in overtime." It happens. I've been on a sideline where it happened, where my coach in high school looked at us and said, we're up 5 with 3 minutes left. Let it go into overtime, and we'll beat them in overtime. And sure enough, we did. It's happened. I've witnessed it. I've witnessed it. But, that's besides the point. So, talking still about the NCAA and prospects, really quick, guys, let's really touch who our top 5 prospects or our top 5 favorite players are in this draft that we think out of the 5 players out of the draft that we can say, hey, these are your top 5 players, not, necessarily here's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the draft, but here's our top 5 who we think our top 5 players are. Who wants to start the list off? Who wants to go first?
I
Zach,
have
my man.
I have 4 for sure, but the 5th is I'm not sure.
Okay.
Holmgren's definitely going. Wait, this is NBA, right? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Holmgren, Boncaro. He's an unpopular opinion, but I've really liked Jaden Ivey and Jabari Smith. I think was that his last name? Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. The 5th, I couldn't.
So I think we're all gonna have.
Yeah, we're gonna have the same people. Yeah.
It's a matter of who the 5th one is. Yeah, but it's a matter of who the 5th person is. It's going to be different.
The 5th.
And our order might be different. Our 1, 2, 3, and 4 might be different. Because mine's different from yours.
Because I don't. Is there?
You think about your 5th player. Ashton, what's your top 5?
I had Chet 1. I think. Well, I did a little bit different. I did like just their potential in the NBA. I don't think he's.
That's fine. I'd like to.
Yeah, I've got Jaden Ivey 2nd, Banchero 3rd. I was gonna say Jabari, but he didn't. They lost. What's the dude from? What's the guy's name from Arizona that's so good? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but they would be my top 4. I don't know the 5th one. I mean, there's probably 10 people that could be, the 5th. I'm trying to find the guy's name from Arizona. But go ahead. Don't let me drag it out. Go ahead. Name yours.
Benedict or Kerr?
Yeah, Benedict. His first name's Benedict, right?
Yeah, Benedict.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, Benedict Marthrian. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a weird last name.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
I didn't get to see a lot of Kentucky, but Sharp.
Okay.
Other than that, I think that's like a consensus, like top 5.
So I'm gonna stray from you guys a little bit here because I got somebody different in my top 5. I feel like we all have different players, at least rounding out the 5, not the 4. The core 4 seem to be the same. So my 1 is Chet Holmgren. I think he has a superstar potential, 7 foot, whatever, 7'1", 7 foot, whatever you want to call him. Handles the ball like a guard. Reminds me of another Kevin Durant, but a little bit more. I think he needs to widen himself out, get a little bit more bulky for the NBA. But that's besides the point. Number 2, I have Paulo Banchero. Number 3, I have Jabari Smith from Auburn. Number 4, I do have Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey, I think, has potential to be a great player in the NBA, whether he plays point guard or 2 guard. And the 5th guy I have is actually a center, believe it or not, is Jalen Duran from Memphis. I really like Jalen Duran from Memphis. He has, to me, he's a traditional big man, like we talked with Dom the other night about his skills. Now I think I compared him to Andrew Bynum and Dwight Howard. How I think that Jalen Duran can be, if he works hard enough, unlike Bynum, he can probably be the best big man in the league in a couple of years, I think. But in a couple of years, I mean like 4 or 5 years down the line, not like immediately. I think he's gonna have to develop and go to the right team. Speaking of going to the right team,
I would put Jabari Smith number 1 then. I thought we were talking about just who's left in the Sweet 16. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt Jabari Smith is
No,
we're talking
in draft.
No, we're talking like the whole top 5 of the draft.
Yeah. Well,
like,
then
who are the best 5 players in the NBA draft in our opinions?
Yeah, okay.
Then you would put Jabari Smith back in that list instead of the guy from Arizona?
He's going 1 or 2 for sure.
Okay.
I mean, he's
absolutely.
Sick.
I think he's going. I think he's going 2.
I think he's going 2.
And I think Paulo is going to go 3rd. But I think Paulo has a more higher ceiling than him. That's the only reason I put him ahead of my list. That's my opinion, though. But speaking of drafting, what are y'all's top 3? And we're only going to do 3 NBA draft classes of all time, starting at 3 and ending in 1. Zach, you've had more time to think about this instead of riding my coattails.
Okay, well, I looked into it more.
Yeah.
And there's only
starting at 3 and ending in 1.
3 good ones, and it's I think my 3 is 96. I forget what your list is, honestly. I'm actually not. If I end up with the same list as you, I actually didn't mean it.
That's fine. You're not even near my same list, putting 96 at number 3.
Is it 96?
That's insane.
Yes. 96 at 3.
At number 3?
Yes.
God, you are a hater, but go ahead.
96 at 3. 2003 at 2. And then is it 84 at 1? Is that the big one?
84.
Yes.
That's the big one. So you're putting 03 in front of 96. That's tough, man. That's a toughie. What's your reasoning why? Give me your reasoning why.
While there are very good players, I think for me, 2003 has been more influential. And I found there was actually like more players in 2003 compared to 96. I think there were better players in 96, but I think there were more players in 2003. And then I think 84 has just been all around the best.
Okay, that's fair. I'll accept your argument. Ashton.
All right, so
what is
my
your
third.
top 3
Number
NBA
3.
draft classes?
I've got some notes written down. Excuse me. Number 3, the 87 class. Robinson, Reggie Miller,
87?
Pippen. Yeah. Robinson, Reggie Miller, Scottie Pippen. Horace Grant was in there. There's a bunch of them.
Okay.
That was a sleeper. And then I've got a tie for number 1. I got the 96 and the 84. 84 is going to be tough to beat, though, because you've got Jordan, Stockton, Barkley, Elijah Wan. I mean, that's 4 of the top. I think that's, even though I'm not a John Stockton fan, but that's probably 4 of the top 20 players, position-wise, anyway. But 96, Kobe, Ray, Steve, Allen Iverson. I mean, good Lord. That's Stephon Marbury,
Derek Fisher,
Marbury. I mean, that was a crazy class. So I tied that 96 and 84. I'm not gonna
so
say
touching
one.
on. So yeah, I can agree to that. On you saying none of them, 84, 96 are not better. But me, I'll go 03 at number 3. I'll put 03 at number 3. I'll take LeBron, Melo, Wade, and Bosh. Unfortunately, Ashton over Elijah Wan, or not Elijah Wan, sorry, over what'd you say? 80,
Robinson,
87,
87,
Scottie Pippen, Barkley, and who else? Robinson,
Reggie Miller, and Scottie Pippen.
I'll take 03 over them. The only one in that, in my opinion, that's any good out of that class is probably Robinson and Reggie Miller. But Scottie Pippen could take a back seat, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull the Isaiah Thomas argument on that one. I'm okay with Michael Jordan telling me I don't want to play in the Olympics, but Scottie Pippen telling me he don't want me on the Olympic team. That's a little bit of a problem for me. I'll pull the Isaiah Thomas card on that one. And number 2, I got the 84 and 96. I have at number 1. And it's just because me, seeing that I saw 96 play firsthand. I thought Iverson was really good. The same with Kobe and that class and Ray Allen. But 84, I'm not taking anything away from them. They were obviously really good players. It's very hard to argue 84 and 96, but I only put them as far as 1 and 2 because I saw 96 play. I didn't really get a lot of chance to see 84 play. But kind of sticking with the NBA draft here. Who were the biggest steals in NBA history in the draft? In your opinion, these are strictly your opinions. It can be, Zach, you can still say Steph Curry at 7 because, It was kind of a steal. Looking back,
I mean,
at it was
everybody's answer should be Michael Jordan at 3. I mean, come on. 2 teams passed on Michael Jordan.
That's a gimme.
Okay, all right. You're going to tell me you're not going to take Olajuwon at number 1?
We're in 2022. Looking back, you don't know what the steal is at the time.
Yeah, but but you're not going to tell me, dude. If I was Houston,
somebody needs.
Yes, hindsight's 2020, but like, dude,
you can't say you would take Olajuwon over
yes,
Jordan.
hindsight's. Yes, hindsight's. Dude, yes, hindsight's 2020, but Olajuwon is Olajuwon. No, okay, you're right now, but dude, yes, okay, all right, yes, that's a good. Okay.
If Jordan hadn't played baseball, Olajuwon would have had this many rings. This many rings he would have had if Jordan hadn't played baseball. 0.
Yeah, well, I agree.
And Jordan would have had this many.
You know, and I can't see what you're holding up.
9 fingers. 9. That's 9 fingers.
9 fingers. Yeah, I wouldn't. That's more than what Tom Brady's got.
I don't know. Tom Brady's.
I still hold my ground on Steph Curry, and I think he's one of the bigger steals because a literal game changer going at 7. Hindsight's 2020, like we were always going to say, but going at 7 is pretty big. And then another one that I looked at. So we said the 2003 draft class is huge. One that goes really under the radar is Kyle Korver and how good.
Yeah, he was like 43rd.
Yeah, he was like 50 something, and that's a huge steal because going 50s means your second rounders usually don't make it that well in the NBA, and someone doing in such a legendary draft class getting that big of a steal in Kyle Korver is, I think, one of the bigger ones too.
He's sharpshooter, probably one of the best to stand at 3-point line and hit shots. It's crazy to me because like when he played for Atlanta, I thought he was on the downside of his career, and this dude came out and averaged almost 20 a game and was an all-star. Like he's now like 30 years old, and like he was selling out Atlanta, and people are coming to watch him shoot threes. And it's like it's crazy that like Atlanta made the playoffs with Kyle Korver. They were like the number 1 or 2 seed with like Kyle Korver in that squad, and I was just like my mind was blown at that time when the NBA kind of had that.
Joker went 41st.
Go ahead. I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic went 31st or 41st.
That's a big
another
steal.
big one. Another big one in my generation and Zach's generation was Marc Gasol.
Yep.
He went 48th pick in the 2007 draft and got traded for his brother.
Yeah.
His rights got traded for his brother. Imagine that scenario. Like Ashton, imagine if you got drafted in the NBA first. Since you're older than your brother, and Jordan comes in the league like 4 years later, and he gets drafted, and then you get traded for Jordan, or Jordan gets traded for you. How would you feel?
I would say
the
team that's trading for him wants to lose. They don't want to win. And then I would take
That's simple. That's that simple.
Yeah, that's simple.
It's great. I mean, dude, Pal walked out of Memphis, leaving knowing his brother was going to go to Memphis and he was going to the Lakers.
At least you'd have somebody to buy your condo. I mean, you'd have somebody to buy your condo at least.
Makes sense to me. Hey, it's a bargain.
Yeah, I guess. It's
and
a
remember,
bargain. Yes, you're right. Another steal to me was
go ahead. Giannis went like what was it, 13 or 14? The Greek freak.
Giannis went 13.
He was down there too.
Kawhi Leonard also fell to 13.
Oh yeah. Kawhi, I forgot about him.
Best players ever.
Another one that this is my biggest steal. I have 2 steals that I'm going to leave up for debate. Here, we'll talk the first one. Manu Ginobili, 2nd round, 57th pick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Manu Ginobili, 57th pick. It's just but it's like insane to think about that Manu dropped to 57th.
Yeah.
My other one, and this is in my opinion, the biggest steal in NBA history. You can argue that they got Vlade Divac for him, but Kobe Bryant, 13th to the Hornets, and then traded to the Lakers for Vlade Divac, dude. The Lakers literally got Kobe for Vlade Divac, and they just got Shaq the year before. Oh, it was a great trade.
On the Hornets.
Well, you got to realize,
Charlotte
needed a center, and so the deal was in place. There was a little, like a mini series about this, because everybody hates on Charlotte for trading Kobe. But Charlotte said, LA, who do you want us to take to trade for Vlade? And so LA said, let's take Kobe.
Yeah, they said Kobe.
So Charlotte was never, ever going to keep him. I mean, they made that pick for LA. So all this Charlotte hate.
You're
all
right.
these people.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, but it's still a steal in the NBA
Oh,
draft.
yeah, yeah,
Like, it is a massive steal. For him to fall to 13 and Kobe be arguably, top 5, top 3, top 2, whatever you want to call him, top 1 of all time in NBA history as far as players. Wherever you want to put him on your Mount Rushmore, he's obviously on a Mount Rushmore. You have to put him there. If not, you're a hater. If he falls past number 5, like, dude, I'm not even ever having a conversation with him. Sorry. Continuing on the draft class thing, we talked about the NFL earlier. What are y'all's top 3 NFL draft classes of all time? Because we're rolling into the NFL draft. You have a top 1, not a top 3.
Yeah, I don't have a top 3. I have a top 1.
Okay, well, go ahead. What's your top 1?
2004? 4?
Was that the quarterback draft?
Yeah. Life-changing. That's the only one I've been, alive.
And Larry Fitzgerald and Sean Taylor were both in that draft, too. Sean Taylor, who would have probably been the best.
So
DB
was Jared Allen. So was Jared Allen and Vince Wilfork.
Yeah, Wilfork.
So
yep.
That's mine. Other than that, I don't think there's any been in the 2000s. There hasn't been anything crazy.
I got one better than
there's
that.
There's been
I'm going way back
Go ahead.
to 1989. 11 years old. We've got Troy Aikman,
Barry Sanders,
Deion Sanders, and Derek Thomas. That's just the top 4. That was
That's a pretty good one.
Smelly draft right there, buddy. Let me tell you.
So to touch on Ashton's draft class, that's 5 Hall of Famers and 26 Pro Bowlers out of 1989's draft class.
And you know what? There was more than that. I think the NFL.com ranked that number 9. I think 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
But man, it's hard to beat the Barry Sanders and Deion Sanders. I mean, 2 of the best ever.
So I have a list. I have 89 at number 2. I have 96 at number 3.
96 was number 3 for me.
Marvin
too.
Harrison. I had Marvin Harrison, Ray Lewis, Brian Dawkins, Terrell Owens.
T.O. was in that class.
They had 5 Hall of Famers also and 33 Pro Bowlers out of that class. So the number 1 class I had was 04, just like Zach.
Yeah.
Currently speaking, they have 42 Pro Bowlers, and we don't know how many Hall of Famers because none of them are eligible for Hall of Fame yet. But looking at that list, Eli Manning, Larry Fitzgerald, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Jared Allen, Vince Wilfork, Sean Taylor. I think I just named everybody that's going to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think they're all Hall of Famers right there. Yeah, that's 7 strong Hall of Famers.
I
think that's an argument for the greatest draft class because I think they all
and
are Hall of
one
Famers,
that's looking good is which was it 18 with. No, it might have been 19. I don't remember which one it is. Joe Burrow, Herbert, that whole one, that quarterback class.
Yeah.
Was Lamar?
Yeah,
that was the year before.
Lamar's year before.
Lamar, Josh Allen, all them were the year before that. Well, so I think one of the ones recently are going to pan out to be crazy, but I think Joe Burrow, the Herbert one. There was another good quarterback in that class. Who was it? I forget.
I don't know.
I don't know, but that one I think has potential to be a very good one in the future.
So speaking, keeping the mantra of steals, who was the biggest steal in the NBA or NFL draft?
Antonio Brown.
Tom
not
Brady.
Even close, actually. I'm not even going to argue. Yeah, Tom Brady too.
Yes, Ashton. What do you mean?
Hey,
Antonio Brown?
I know you love Tom Brady. Relax. Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown is up there too because they were both taken in the last round.
What round was Antonio Brown drafted?
6th round.
Yeah, so
relax.
But dude, Antonio Brown didn't know. Sorry, Brady's had a much better career than Antonio
I know, but
Brown.
I think
Sorry.
Antonio Brown is is a very big one. I think for being one of the best receivers of all time, I think
I could say Harrison Butker as well.
Harrison Butker.
7th round talent.
Yeah, you can literally pick up a quick kicker off the streets and call it good.
Yes, I'm saying.
Roger Staubach was the 10th round pick.
Yeah, see, Roger Staubach also another person, and that was back before the NFL condensed their rounds to 7. right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Roger Staubach coming from Navy, by the way.
And
I
that's
have a
why
friend
he's-
of mine actually.
That's why he slid down so far, as there was some uncertainty whether he'd
Yes.
be granted. Yeah. So that's not a real steal.
Yes.
Because
So Roger Staubach actually played at Navy with a family friend of mine whose name is also Roger Juanita. Played 3 seasons with Roger Staubach at Navy before Roger Staubach graduated. And then Roger Juanita, my family friend, joined the Navy or joined the military and played or didn't play. He went over and flew helicopters and was in Vietnam and all that stuff. He's a crazy old war hero. But now let's go into a whole new segment that we've never really done before that we're going to try out is hot takes, where we each give our hot takes to each other, and we need to convince each other of our hot takes if they are true. So who wants to start first in this whole new
I'll
segment?
start first.
Let me look up my
I'll start
thing.
first.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
Go
So
ahead.
my hot take is, this is going to be so unpopular. I feel like I might get arrested for this. Coach K has done less with more in the last 6 years than any other coach in the country. He's done less with more. He should have
Okay.
retired. And
I think you're already kind of with me.
Was it-
I'm with you on that.
Was it 2016 that they won it last, or 2015? He should have
think it
won
was
it
like
and
15.
walked. Be done. If you, I don't know. He's done less with more. Top 5 class every season. And what has it gotten?
You know, it's hard for me to say you're right, but you are right.
Oh, I know I'm right.
It's hard for me to say you're right. Yeah, it's hard for me to say you're right. I think he's mentally checked out. I think he's been checked out
yeah.
for the last 5 years. I just don't
You
think.
watch.
I don't think he had a successor. I don't think he had a successor ready, and now
No.
that he's got a successor, he's like,
I'm not-
all right, see you guys.
I'm not a Shire fan at all, but you watch how much life that he brings into that program. I mean, it's going to be like a whole different program, dude. I mean, they've got another top 5.
I think the
recruiting
brotherhood's
class
still
coming
going to be
in.
a thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And Coach K is still
Oh, they
be
got
around.
the number 1 recruiting class.
Yeah. Coach K is still be around, but man, he is. I know, and it's his health and everything's got something to do with it. But man, he is done. You give Tom Izzo those players, or a younger coach those players, and I think you've got
Or
multiple.
Jay Wright.
Yeah, multiple championships. Y'all ain't got
I
to say
agree.
I'm right. I know I'm right.
Yes, Ashton takes the cake for this hot take for the first one. Zach, what's your hot take?
Well, I honestly,
So we're each supposed to have 2, by the way. Did you come unprepared? If you came unprepared, I'm going to
I
oust you
know
from the
I
show
came
very
prepared
quickly.
with one, and I forget where I wrote it down at. I came prepared with one, and I forget where I wrote it down at.
This is no longer the double A to Z show. This is now the double A show.
No, I swear on everything I had one, and I completely I actually had it in mind this whole entire show. And then right when you said hot takes, and I said, "Oh crap, I forget it."
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and do my hot take while you try to, remember
I'm
yours.
trying.
All right. Here's mine. I believe without a shadow of a doubt that a decent number of quarterbacks that were busts would not have been busts if they went to the right team.
Oh, I agree with that. That's a good one.
Like Ryan Leaf, for example. He was the number 2 quarterback selected behind Peyton Manning, flattened out because he played for the Chargers organization when they were completely god awful. Ryan
I don't
Leaf
agree.
had a cannon.
I don't agree with that at all. I think there was something wrong with Ryan Leaf in his head, and I don't care where he went. But your original premise, I do agree with.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll keep that coattail. What about Jamarcus Russell? Was he
Yes.
just dusting the field?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he went to the Oakland Raiders, for God's sakes, which was, at the time was the worst team, the worst franchise.
Dude, let's point out really quick that Jamarcus Russell was in college at LSU at like 260 pounds. This man showed up to training camp for the NFL.
Okay, I remember mine now. I remember it.
41 pounds.
Yeah.
His
Oh, here we
rookie
go.
season.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead, Zach.
okay. I've had this one.
Well, first of all, Zach, do you agree with my hot take?
Yeah. Because I think it's
you never said it.
Yeah,
so.
no, yeah,
All
I
right.
was sorry.
Okay,
I remembered
ahead.
it.
Here's your hot
Mine
take.
is
Mr. Polaroid.
it's very biased too because I'm a Steelers guy. I think the Cleveland Browns might be the worst franchise across all sports. All sports. I think they're the worst franchise historically. Everything.
You know, they were so bad, Ashton, that they moved to Baltimore and nobody fucking cared.
The Cleveland Browns. I think
Oh, I mean, I would.
you could argue
I
that
would give
like
them
someone like the
top
Buffalo
5.
Sabres might be ran worse.
How about the LA
But I
Clippers?
think across all major sports.
Yeah, the Clippers are always kind of bad.
They had to move from San Diego to be relevant. They had like
Yeah.
11
You could even see
people
the
showing
Lions.
up at their game in San Diego. Yeah, I'll give you top 5.
Zach, I'm not going to jump on your board on that one.
You can make
I'm
you
not
can make the
jumping on your
argument with
bandwagon,
Lions too.
Oh yeah,
I'm not jumping on your bandwagon, man.
So make it. So
At
say
least
the Lions.
Detroit
Say the
had-
Lions.
At least Detroit had likable players. I mean, they had like Barry Sanders,
Yeah, they had
Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson,
Yeah,
Stafford.
I mean, Cleveland has had no likable players whatsoever. I mean, Bernie
still
Kosar
don't.
was probably their best player.
hey, they could have had Ray Lewis if they would have stayed in Cleveland
yeah.
instead of moving to Baltimore, because the year they moved to Baltimore was the year they drafted Ray
Yep.
Lewis. So like, yeah. So like, imagine if like that happened and then Cleveland wasn't an expansion team and they were the Baltimore Ravens, because that's the original Cleveland Browns franchise was Baltimore Ravens.
And even like with the Browns, like they've been the preseason Super Bowl favorites the past 5 years, and they haven't made the playoffs. Like they made it like last year, but they won one game. Like with all that talent, they just haven't done anything.
If anybody ever said in the last part, first of all, sorry. If anybody ever said in the last 5 years that the Browns were a favorite to win the playoffs, you need to go outside behind your garage
haven't-
with a shotgun. And
You haven't seen that
dome
before?
yourself.
Last year they were projected to be like Super Bowl contenders.
I would never. No, not with Baker under the helm.
Yeah, now everyone knows that. But
Not
last year
with Baker
apparently
under
people
the helm.
didn't.
I said that all along that Baker was not. No. It's like the whole Ben Simmons situation just isn't a Super Bowl quarterback. So Ashton, what's your second hot take?
All right, so this isn't mine. I saw this one, and I thought it was hilarious. But my hot take is Andre the Giant could have been the best NHL goalie in history.
Throw him in the pads and put him in front.
Somebody dropped the ball. They should have taught him how to skate, threw some pads on him.
He doesn't even need to skate.
He would
Just
have
throw him
taken
in
up
front
the
of the
whole
rim.
goal.
That's a big ass dude to be standing there on skates, bro.
Zero goals allowed in his career.
Oh, man.
Undefeated.
Hey, I guess we'll never
He
know.
just sits there.
I wouldn't doubt it. I can. I'll jump on it. I'll agree to it. Zach, do you agree to it?
And I'm not taking credit for that one. I saw that one.
I think we'd be
somewhere else, and I
surprised,
thought that was
honestly.
pretty good.
Because if you put
He
him,
wouldn't be scared
Would there even
because
be
he
any,
drinks
like,
like
room?
he drank like 50 beers a day. He would be numb. He probably could do it in his wrestling
Yeah,
outfit.
dude.
He wouldn't even need pads.
His little leotard.
Yeah,
Oh,
the puck would be like a penny in his
Zach,
hand.
do
He
you
would be
agree or
like,
not
I agree.
"Here's puck."
I agree.
Here's
Here's puck.
Catch it.
Here's puck.
Imagine that. So my second hot take, and this is going to be, all right. This also isn't mine. But I like it. I really like it. I think field goals less than equal to or 25 yards should only be worth 2 points.
The
Because as
NFL,
good
I
as
agree.
kickers are
I think
nowadays,
that would make it fun.
The NFL is missing so many opportunities to make kickers super relevant. And that's one of them. I saw one just piggybacking off yours that if you hit the goalpost, it should be worth 4 points.
not even if it goes in, just hit the goalpost.
No, it's because I mean that's a harder shot, and that's risk reward too, because you could be miss it by 6 inches one way and be 0. So 4 if it hits a goalpost.
So if that's the case, do the Buffalo Bills automatically win the '92 Super Bowl?
Oh yeah, they've got 2 rings.
Yeah.
So wait, let me say mine before I forget it, because I'm very forgetful with this stuff. If you couldn't tell, My second one
ahead,
was
literally.
so baseball. You have to do something about how boring it is. Like, you have to. So I suggest, it's a hot take, I know. You have to either cut off innings or add something to it that makes it at least somewhat enjoyable for a regular audience. So, like, you ever hear, like,
I'm
the
about to
Savannah
light into
Bananas?
baseball. Don't worry.
So, like, Savannah Bananas, the baseball team.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Something like with what they're doing, they're making baseball like somewhat enjoyable. I enjoy baseball, but I know the majority of people don't. So I think to make it at least somewhat enjoyable, you have to speed it up somehow. And they've been trying, but keeping the integrity of the game is what they've been trying to do. But I think you have to do something to make it somewhat more enjoyable. And whether that be cut out innings, make pitching, you have to pitch faster or something to make the games go quicker, because 3 hours with only 18 minutes of gameplay is not fun.
I can agree to that. There's a lot of people that do say baseball is the most boring sport,
And
to ever exist, and there's a reason.
Starting the overtime rule with the person on second base, I don't mind it. I know that's a hot take.
I hate it. I hate it. I'm sorry.
I don't mind it. I think it makes it interesting. And
so, Zach, you're telling me if you were playing professional baseball right now,
yes,
just put you in a professional baseball player's shoes, okay?
Yes.
You played baseball growing up. You played high school baseball. You were a pretty good baseball player. All three of us played high school baseball. So, here's the question: would you like in a high school game, or even whenever you were playing baseball, you go into the extra innings and there's a runner already on second for you?
I wouldn't
How
like
would you
it,
feel
but
about that?
if it's what it has,
Exactly.
if it's what it has to be done, it's what
If
it
I
has
was
to be
pitching,
done.
I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Hell no.
But it's not like the other team doesn't get the same advantage.
Yes, they do.
That's what I'm saying. They get the
Yeah,
same
okay,
advantage.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
It's not like it evens out and it keeps everything.
You're being sarcastic. Okay, yeah, you're being sarcastic. I just didn't pick up on sarcasm.
Because it's like
I agree. All right, I agree with your hot take. Ashton, do you agree with his hot take?
I agree. Baseball sucks.
Okay.
baseball sucks.
All right. Well, speaking that Ashton says baseball sucks, we're gonna go into everybody's favorite Showtime
Screech Talk.
entertainment. Screech Talk. All right, Ashton, what do you got for us this week?
I've got two suggestions for Major League Baseball. One, get the managers.
Two.
I know. Number one, get the managers out of uniforms. What other sport does the manager wear a jersey? It's ridiculous. Like, why waste a number on this kid? He's one that don't fit him. His belly's probably hanging out. He's got like baggy pants on.
Belly.
Get the managers out of the jersey. Let them. I mean, I don't care if they dress up in a suit and tie, but let them just come out there and be like, let's Pat Riley with the slick back hair. That's number one. Number two, you get rid of umpires. Baseball is the only sport, and it was speeded up too, Zach.
Get rid of umpires?
Get rid of umpires. Baseball is the only sport that there's not a judgment call. You're either out or you're safe. It's either a ball or a strike. There's no judgment calls. There is a strike zone as defined by the rules. It could be quickly
Just
done
automated.
with 3 or 4 cameras. But it's automated. Yeah, so like pitch, a half a second later, it shows up on the board as a strike or a ball. Safe or out. I mean, there's no replay. A computer will look at it. A video will look at it. A computer will analyze it in a tenth of a second and say what it is. There's no like, let's argue. You wouldn't have anything to argue because it is baseball is the only sport that's black and white. Football, you've got pass interference.
I used to disagree with that, but I've come to my senses.
I did too. I've completely flipped on this.
All right, you had me. You had me completely on board until you brought up, the automated response time. As a baseball player, that's what part. Hold on.
Okay, yeah.
It's what makes the game the game. I agree with you that it will speed it up and make it a lot better, but it's what makes the game the game.
I think the game is dying
ball strikes
because of that.
I agree that I agree though. So I'm gonna jump on his bandwagon and agree with that. That's the case.
Yeah, I think
the baseball side of me, the baseball player inside of me is like, I don't like it.
I never looked to it.
Get the managers out of the jerseys.
Yeah, I like that one.
I do. Dude, imagine,
and their tight pants.
Imagine a third base coach wearing a suit and tie on the sidelines.
Well, imagine a football coach in like full pads and a football helmet on the sideline with a clipboard.
Yeah, I think you just wear a
There's no
sweatshirt and
point of it.
sweatpants or something.
Yeah,
you don't have to
you
wear a
ain't gotta wear a
jersey and
suit.
baseball pants.
How about Phil Jackson in some baggy shorts and a tank top with some Jordans
come on
and a
now.
headband? I mean, come on,
Phil Jackson.
it's
Phil
ridiculous.
Jackson would be smoking a joint if he had that opportunity.
Oh man,
All right, Ashton, you got any more?
I like
Any more
those
stuff
ones.
you want to just
No,
air
I
out
mean,
and get your
I'll
grievances
say
out?
this. Yeah, I'll say this as a basketball fan. I'm not a Duke fan. I've pulled for Duke in the past, but I hope sincerely this is not the last game that Coach K coaches. I hope they beat Texas Tech. As a Duke hater, I don't want it to end. I feel kind of nostalgic. I don't want him to coach his last game. It won't be the same. I think it's needed. I think that fresh breath, breath of fresh air is needed in that program, but it's going to be different not seeing him on the sideline.
I agree. It's going to be a hard day for me. I might even shed a tear. I did shed a tear when JJ Redick moved on from Duke. I will admit that because I was young and I was watching all the games. But I did shed a tear when JJ Redick graduated. I'm not gonna lie, with that little emotional.
Okay, let me put this into perspective for you. So
He also shed a tear when Ren and Stimpy was canceled.
What?
You also shed a tear when Ren and Stimpy, the cartoon, was canceled. So don't take much into shedding tears.
Multiple tears were shed. So.
Okay. All right.
I could have gone Beavis and Butthead. I don't know which one's
later.
more relevant.
Yeah, I got chalk one up that he got in the scoreboard on me. Okay, all right. All the ball jokes got up to me. All right.
So I am a 21-year-old, a junior in college now. Last time Duke won a national championship, I was 15 and in 8th grade. That's crazy.
Sad, right?
I literally got into high school, graduated high school, started college, and almost graduated college by the time since last Duke. I literally graduated college in a year.
It's also crazy to me that a player that played for Duke for 4 seasons, got his retina tore out playing in the G League or whatever it was, went overseas, averaged like 20 a game, couldn't get back in the NBA, decided to call Coach K up begging for a job, gave him a job as an assistant, not even assistant coach, worked his way up to associate head coach, and is now taking over the Duke team. I'm just like, dude, how perfect of a fit though is John Shire though to replace Coach?
I guess
he's going to be good.
Think about it.
And he was one of my least favorite players ever, but he's going to be a good coach. I feel it.
Why was he your least favorite player? Because he was a slow white boy that could shoot.
Anytime when I watch TV and I feel like that I'm better than that person, I don't like him.
Stop it. Stop it. You are nowhere near as good as John Shire. John Shire could take you out behind.
Listen, I know that, but I said when you watch when he's running down the court in a 4.8 40 and he's playing with like athletes that are dunking and flying above the rim, I'm like, oh dude, he ain't no better than me. I'm just as unathletic as he is. I can take him. I know that's not the truth. That's how my brain works.
I understand.
Well, your brain needs to take a step back here because if you and John Shire went out behind the barn,
I agree. 100%.
Even if y'all just shot, y'all went at the top of the key, he would outshoot you a million times, and he would dunk all over you.
Nope. He would have to make his free throws because I would hack him every time. I'm just telling you.
Better hope he's on tonight.
Hey, better hope he's on his game. Better hope he has his goggles. Better have his goggles for his retina vision. But all right, Ashton, any more things you want to complain about and get off your chest?
No, I'm good.
The event
all right,
session.
well, that's for this week. You always got next week to complain more. But thanks for joining us tonight on a wonderful episode. And everybody, go say thank you to our sponsors at Wallkicks and Rogue Energy, as well as the unaffiliated people, Dunham Sports. Go show them some love. And tell Wallkicks that we sent you, as well as use our checkout code AA2Z, AA the number 2Z at Rogue Energy for 20% off on your next order. And we will see you guys on Monday on time as planned. unlike last time. And we'll see you guys then. See you
ya.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Double A to Z Sports Podcast. Please leave a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for more content.
He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his fifth!